Hello, everyone. Welcome on into Coffee with Brodes. What's happening? A lot on the table today. Yes, that is true. What's happening? Before we begin, you know the rules. It's time to chug some coffee. It's time to rip a nice fat swig of coffee to start your morning. Yeah, that's where we're at. So everyone, cheers together. Amazing. Amazing. What's going on? A lot to talk about today. Yes, indeed. Bryce Harper getting hit in the face with a 97 mile per hour fastball. Just casually need to slip that conversation into the mix. We have the Philadelphia Eagles draft. The Sixers last night. Look, after everything that happened in that Phillies game, I honestly felt with the Sixers, it was like, you know, eh. Um, they completely just ran through a team that stinks. I mean, that's how the Sixers have somewhat been irrelevant conversation as of late. Unfortunately, I don't want it to be that way, but reality is they have not been conversational. They've just played games without their stars. They played teams that have been an embarrassment, and they're just taking care of business, which is fine, which is great. I'm happy they're taking care of business, but there's really not even much to talk about when it comes to that team right now. Better be black coffee. Of course, it's black coffee. It's black hazelnut from Wawa. So, where do we want to begin? I'll let you dictate the conversation because Philadelphia Eagles on the table. Last night with the Phillies, that's clearly going to be a hot item, and they play again this afternoon. So I don't think Aaron Nola is going to drill anybody. I don't think they deserve to get drilled. Honestly, I think that's ridiculous in my opinion. I'm not the one that says go throw at Nolan Arenado's throat. Go throw at Paul Goldschmidt's kneecaps. Like, no, you know what? Go win a fucking baseball game. That's the way I have. That's the way I have been. Bryce has been a disappointment. You haven't watched the Phillies then. All right, a few people are mentioning Howie trading up. There is a lot in play here with that. So, no, I do not put anything into my coffee. I'm hearing that it's possible. All right, I'm hearing that there are phone calls being made for whatever that's worth, for however much stock you want to put into it. All I'm saying is I'm hearing that there's attempts to move up. All right, so that's where we're at here. There's attempts of trading up. Will they trade up a lot? I don't know. How much is it going to cost? I don't know. Are they just trying to jump the Cowboys? I don't know. I don't know. All I know is phone calls are being made, and it's possible that there is a trade up involved. Is Justin Fields off the table? If they see Justin Fields slip, is that a possibility? Is that one of the reasons why they want to move up? That information, I don't know. The only thing I've heard to this point from people who cover the team is Howie Roseman is definitely looking to move up. So something is on his mind. The draft board would have to fall their way. Things would have to work in their favor. Things of that nature would have to go down. But a trade up is definitely a possibility. So for what it is, take that for what it is. Yes, black guy Bryce Harper is probably going to be a sick look. The only thing that is unfortunate about it is if he doesn't have the long hair. Like if he had last year's long ass hair, that long hair with the eye black, and then maybe a black eye on top, then it would intensify even more. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think whoever said that is not watching Phillies baseball and they're just a troll. Bryce looks to be his best in. I agree with you. This is the best that both guys in Rhys Hoskins and Bryce Harper. This is probably the best we have seen both of them since, Rhys Hoskins since his rookie season and Bryce Harper since the All-Star year for sure, or MVP year, excuse me, for sure. This is the best we've seen both of them, yet their offense still sucks. Their center field is still embarrassing. Their left field can't do anything. Their back end of the rotation's brutal, and their bullpen hasn't been strong enough. They have the, second to worst ERA as a bullpen in the league, and it was somewhere around 5. I heard Tom McCarthy talk about it during the game. It was around 5. Imagine that. Imagine going from 7 plus to 5, and we're talking about how that's such a huge upgrade. Best Gene, you're right. That's also a great point. Best Gene Segura has looked as well. So here we are talking about the best we've seen from Reese, the best we've seen from Bryce, the best we've seen from Gene Segura, and they still stink. Dominic, putting Bryce Harper in AAA, that's not very funny, right? You can come up with something better than that. If you're going to say things like that, you probably just shouldn't say anything at all. You know what I'm saying? Oh, what do I think about Ben Simmons coming back? It's hard to really tell. I mean, he looks explosive. He looks fast. He played an OKC team that's worse than the Sixers when they did their tanking. And then last night they played an underman team that didn't have Trae Young. They didn't have DeAndre Hunter. They didn't have who? I mean, they were missing a bunch of other guys. They have so many sideline guys that they basically played another OKC team. Was Ben awesome in that first quarter specifically on both ends of the floor? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He was noticeable, but it's just so hard to tell what's it matter, right? Like, what's it matter when you play these type of teams? This is the worst it's been when it comes to a backstretch of a Sixer seed. That's what happens, though. I'll just be honest with you. That's what happens when you're an actual championship caliber team. The back end of the season, it really turns into nothing. You thought it turned into nothing previous years? Well, no. This is turning into nothing. Cameron Rupp. We're going to continue this from a little bit of yesterday. Comes in with a $2 donation. Says, yeah, so I'm the best catcher in Phillies history. If you were not here for Coffee with Brodes yesterday, who do we have come in? Brandon Workman with a $2 donation yesterday. I forget some of the other ones off the top of my head, but we went through Vince Velasquez. And by the way, we're really doing this, huh? I mean, it pisses me off. It's a joke. It's a joke. How many more starts does this guy have to make before you realize that he just blows? I mean, no one in the history of the MLB has had this many chances, I swear to God, who stinks so much. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, hopefully Didi's okay. I mean, he finished out the game. He got an RBI sack fly in there. So I haven't heard anything specifically on Didi Gregorius other than, he'd have to get some testing done and whatnot. But I heard Joe Girardi speak after the game. I'm trying to see if there's any sort of clips or notes or anything of that nature on Twitter about it from some of the beat reporters, but I don't see anything in terms of quotes. I feel like this would be a good lineup. Segura, Bohm, Harper, Real Muto, Hoskins, Didi, Maton, Kutch. I feel like you're batting Hoskins too late there. He's hitting too well, I think, to be hitting fifth. I would maybe flip-flop Bohm and Hoskins. The thing is with Alec Bohm, he got a good hit yesterday. He did, and that's crucial. For him to get on the board and to finally snap a streak, that's exactly what you needed out of Alec Bohm because he's been struggling statistically. He's been squaring up the baseball very well, but he's been struggling statistically. He has to find a way to get out of that groove, and maybe it's as simple as just taking a nice ride, taking a pitch for a nice ride there. Chris Dunn stinks. I agree. I don't know what the hell that was. That's similar to what we're talking about with throwing at Goldschmidt. Just shut up. Shut up and go win a basketball game. Don't get fooled into nonsense. Go play a basketball game. Go dominate, which they did. Same thing with the Phillies. Go win. Now, it's a little different. I understand the circumstances are a little different. Maybe that's a bit of a reach. But, yeah, I don't know what Chris Dunn was doing yesterday. It was a nice play by Matisse Thybulle. Was it Shake Milton who gave him that lob pass for Matisse to kind of glide in there with that hand? I think so. Alex, that's a great point, man. I was thinking about it, Sean Rodriguez. I thought that said Sean Rodriguez. I thought that said Sean Rodriguez. Is that what we were going for? Or no? Was that the attempt at all? Or no? Just curious if it was Sean Rodriguez was the attempt at all. Thank you so much for the $2 donation. I'll get to that in a second. But can you imagine if Harper plays today? That would be outstanding. I don't know if they're going to medically allow for that to happen. I would love for them to medically allow for that to happen. I just don't know if that is in place. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they wouldn't rush it back. They wouldn't allow for that to happen. They wouldn't want that to happen. They'd give him that rest day. It's an afternoon game, and then it would give them some chances to kind of sit back and relax. But, yeah. Interesting. Thank you so much for the $2 donation, by the way. I really appreciate that. I can't see the actual picture. So is that actually Sergio? Okay, yeah. I got you. There's a shot. Obviously, we were going baseball yesterday a little bit, so I didn't know if we were thinking Sean Rodriguez, but that is also an interesting Rodriguez to go with as well. Thank you so much for the $2. With the ninth pick and the Philadelphia Eagles select Devontae Smith. To move up 3 spots, what would it take and would it be worth Devontae Smith? See, I don't know if moving up to go grab Smith is something that would satisfy me, to be honest with you. If that's the case, I think I'd rather sit at 12 and see what falls, whether it's Horn, whether it's Waddle, whether it's another piece. I think I'd rather stay put than move up to 9 for Devontae Smith. That's my personal opinion. If I'm moving up to grabbing somebody, maybe it's Surtain to get him over Dallas. If I'm moving up to grab anyone, maybe it's Justin Fields if he continues to slip. If we're talking about going up to grabbing Devontae Smith for a wide receiver, I don't personally think that would be interesting for me. I don't know if that would move the needle for me, honestly. There's no way going from 12 to 9 is going to cost you a 4th rounder. No way in hell is that what it's going to. It's going to take way more than just a 4th rounder. Come on. 3rd and 4th? I don't know. I don't even know if 3rd and 4th. If I'm sitting at 9 and someone's at 12 and you want Devontae Smith that bad, you think I'm saying, yeah, you know what? A 3rd and a 4th would move the needle for me. Hell no. No way in hell is a 3rd and a 4th going to be enough for me to accept that 12 to 9 trade if I'm the team that's in 9. Wait, isn't 12, 11, 10? Okay, yeah, I was going to say, isn't Dallas 9? I guess they're 10. If the Eagles are 12, what is it? The Giants at 11 and the Cowboys at 10? I think it would cost more than that, and I would be greedy for it as well. $2 coming in from JJ Arthego Whiteside. You ready for this breakout year? I'm training hard. Imagine if JJ Arthego Whiteside has himself a year. What if Nick Sirianni, of all people, taps into this JJ Arthego Whiteside piece that we have sitting on the bench and he ends up being a stud? What if he ends up being a red zone threat? Remember all those clips of him in the red zone going up and catching 50-50 balls? And we were getting ourselves sucked into Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, Alshon Jeffrey, JJ Arthego Whiteside. Just an undefendable unit out there. What a bum. What an absolute bum we got out of JJ Arthego Whiteside. It's just interesting to think about. What if JJ Arthego Whiteside ends up actually being all right? I don't want Mac Jones. No. I'm not going out and grabbing Mac Jones and starting this whole controversy at quarterback. If Justin Fields slips, fine. I think it's worthy of going after Justin Fields because I think his ceiling and his overall production can be better than what you have in Jalen Hurts and the ceiling of Jalen Hurts. I think it's better. I'm not going out and grabbing Mac Jones, this and that for anyone. And I think, that Justin Fields is a different conversation for sure. Name one Jags quarterback. Blake Bortles. Dominic. Blake Bortles. Patriots going to wind up with Justin Fields? I don't know. Some mock drafts, Chris Sims has him falling all the way down and dropping to 32 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't know if that was just a troll job to start some sort of controversy because when he did release that, the Twitter world went crazy, and there's definitely something to making Twitter go crazy because of something that you said. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I guess everything's on the table. If they're going to draft a quarterback, it needs to be Ian Book in the 5th or 6th round. I don't necessarily agree with you there. If you're going to draft a quarterback, I'm okay with it being Justin Fields. I don't understand the tie to Jalen Hurts as if someone else is there who's available, who could play and can ball, let's not go in that direction because we have Jalen Hurts. I'm okay with staying with Jalen Hurts. I'm all right with learning what you have there and giving him an opportunity after 4 starts last year. I'm okay. Like, I think he did better than what I ever anticipated him doing, getting thrown into the fire that way. With that being said, to act as if somebody falls, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that if somebody falls. If Justin Fields falls, if a quarterback falls, I'm okay with going and grabbing a quarterback. I think it actually should be something that they reasonably look at. Why wouldn't you? Why would you allow that to slip to figure out something you don't know about? And you don't know about that quarterback either. But my point is, you don't have a solidified position player, or excuse me, you don't have a solidified quarterback at that position. You don't have a player there. That's 100%. Nate Gary chiming in with $2. You sent me to San Fran. Oh, you messed up big. Didn't we send Nate Sudfeld that way as well? You can go enjoy Nate Sudfeld out in San Francisco. Here's one thing that's beautiful over there is the weather. So enjoy the nice weather, kick it on the beach, find some hot blondes, do whatever you need to do out in San Fran. Get out of my face in coverage, though. I never want to see that stupid jersey again, facing the wrong way, looking the wrong way when there's 3 guys wide open in the damn end zone. Right? I don't want to deal with that bullshit anymore. What's up, Rick? What's going on, Glenn? Thanks for coming in, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Nate, for the $2 as well. Now, we mentioned it, Christian, if you went a little bit deeper in there. That was towards the end. Definitely towards the end. So I'm not saying you got a chance to get that far or not yet. But, yeah, the Wild to Durso is a sleeper pick to me. Not so much. Oh, you're coming after me specifically. So you listen to all the open ice hits and you're saying, yeah, I just think they're too young, man. I do. I think they're too young. They're too young of a team. Something scares me about the youth. We saw that with Travis Konechny yesterday. How big is today's game? I think it's monstrous. You want to start making some sort of noise. You got to rally. What happened yesterday was a rally moment. What happened yesterday was a part of a season that you could look at as a team and acknowledge that there's something there. There's a spark plug that just occurred. You need to make sure that as a team, there's an explosive run because your best player and arguably the MVP of the league just got rocked in the nose with a 97-mile-per-hour fastball, right? That just happened. You better punch these guys in the jaw. Glenn. It's funny. I didn't even think of who this actually was. I just saw Glenn say, hey, Brodes, what's up? I didn't realize Glenn and Schwartz. I didn't put it together. There's so many things going on in the chat until he brought up the weather. Glenn is in the chat. We shall look up the weather. That is what we do here on Coffee with Brodes. So let's look up St. Louis, Missouri. The game is at 1:15, and Glenn hits us with, if we go to our hourly forecast, wow, that's such a weatherman thing to say. That's not hiccup on the air, though. Cloudy at 1 o'clock, mostly cloudy at 2 o'clock, partly cloudy at 3 o'clock, partly cloudy at 4 o'clock. So that is your weather update. Your weather update. Hurricane Schwartz, baby. Yes, it is up there. I referenced this in the post-game podcast, though, that this fan base loves silly things so much. A 97-mile-per-hour fastball is different, but here's what doesn't make sense to me. The appreciation for Aaron Rowan for doing that. People would rather have Aaron Rowan than Bobby Abreu. Why? Because one guy played differently than the other. One guy was 10,000 times better than the other. Why do we fall in love with Aaron Rowan, but not Bobby Abreu? It's crazy, because the way it looks, because of the way that the style of effort played out. Bobby Abreu over Aaron Rowan every day of the week. Every day of the week. Is there a Sixers Hawks pod? I didn't do one last night because the Bryce Harper news was so crazy and that game was so damn emotional. And the Sixers, what was there to really discuss? They just breezed through that team. So I don't know. I was planning on maybe recording one after Coffee with Brodes. So it's possible. But I also have a Phillies recap to do in a 1:00 game and the NFL draft tonight. So I'll see. I'm not sure. Maybe, possibly. They just dominated and cruised through a team that stunk so much that I don't even know if it's worthy. What do you, they just cruised through a team that stunk. Who do I want with the 12th pick? All right, Gary. So I'll be honest with you because this question has been asked for me or to me all week long, right? Brodes, what do you want them to do? What do you want them to do? What do you want them to do? Here's what I want them to do. Get a guy that's named Horn, Surtain, Smith, Waddle, Parsons, even though I know that's not going to happen, or hell, Justin Fields. Get me one of those players. Now, I know that there's talk about defensive line. I'm not anti-defensive line, all right? There's a big gap at some of these line positions compared to the next player at that position. So that means that they're going to be more of a hot item because if you don't go out and get that specific defensive edge rusher or whatever, then the next time you want that position, it's going to be such a significant drop. I wouldn't be as happy with that selection compared to like Slater, for example, or Pay, for example. Those type of players, I wouldn't be as excited for. I think the ones I mentioned in Smith, Waddle, Parsons, Surtain, Horn, Fields. Any of those. I don't have a personal preference. Any of those. Right? That's how I feel. We need a wide receiver and cornerback in the first two, then a D lineman. Well, if you wait that long, then it's not. Then you're not going to be able to get that D lineman that you're looking for. You'd get another Sharif Miller. Right? Am I satisfied with the Sixers? Define that. Define, am I satisfied with last night's win? Sure, of course. After last night's win, sure, of course. That doesn't mean much big picture, but you went 5 innings. This is where I think this Nick Pivetta thing is getting so out of hand. When we signed Chase Anderson, right, we wanted him to be a guy that can give us 5 innings. When Nick Pivetta was here, it was acted as if this man was in your top end of the rotation. What he's giving you is Chase Anderson. He's giving you 5 innings. Now, DeGrom never gets run support whenever the Mets play. So this is a very common theme when DeGrom is on the bump. This isn't outrageous. This isn't random. It could be me out on the mound, and the Mets are not going to give him much run support. This is a conversation we have every time DeGrom is on the mound. So if you go through what he gave you, sure, he did not get lit up. He did not allow a bunch of production to occur from the Mets lineup. But my man gave you 5 innings. 5 innings against the Mets. He struck out 7. Fine. I'm not saying that that's a bad outing. What I'm saying is, to this point, 5 innings, 3 2/3, 5 innings, 6 innings. And we see how important not having 5 innings from a 4th and 5th guy really is. Your team goes through a downward spiral every time you have to play these guys. So there is a role that matters with it. Let's not go overboard here and make it seem like Nick Pivetta is cruising 8 innings and 7+ innings every single outing. And that's where I'm having the problem here from not just Red Sox Twitter. It's not even Red Sox Twitter. It's more Phillies Twitter. Look, we gave up on Pivetta. Pivetta is not doing as well as the people are making it seem he's doing. That's all. That's my point. He's giving you 5 innings. 5 innings. It's what you expect out of your 5th starter, which matters. It does matter. BJ comes in and says, can't not see the Eagles passing on Waddle or Smith. I think this is one of those where everyone's afraid we can't mess up, that they take that for almost a fallback. Whether they want to or not, they can go with the mentality afterwards of, we did what you wanted. We picked Smith. We picked Devontae Smith, and let's say Devontae Smith doesn't pan out. They could almost use that to their advantage. You wanted Smith. Now, they're not going to actually say that to the media, but there is this conversation that they could have where it's like everyone screams, take this guy. And I don't want them listening to their fans. If they listen to their fans, they're going to be a fan because a lot of fans are morons. A lot of fans are idiotic and irrational. So I'm not saying, do that. But there is this element of you're trying to get too cute. You're trying to get too pretty. You're trying to do too much. Where if they take a player like a Surtain and Surtain doesn't work out, who all wanted Surtain? A lot of people want Surtain. Surtain's being talked about for a reason. So how can you bitch and complain if a player like Surtain doesn't work out? You get my point to a degree? Imagine missing on DK than Jefferson and not picking a player that is graded higher than both of them. Yeah, the problem is you miss out on DK, which a lot of teams did. Even Seattle, everyone talks about it. Wasn't their first time missing out on a player like him. DK, it's like you take DK, you pick J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, you pick Rager. You're constantly having to take wide receiver. You're constantly over and over and over again having to take a wide receiver. If you hit on DK, then you don't have to take J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. You could have took a player that was a cornerback. And then that means in the first round, maybe you get Patrick Queen or you get a player like that last season where you don't have to take Jalen Rager. Now your roster is starting to fill out because you are hitting on your earlier pieces. You hit on your wide receiver. Now you're going again. You're going again wide receiver. And it's one big snowball effect on the dumpster fire that you have at that position. $2 coming in from the Phillies fans in South Dakota. Trade Vinny, Roman, and Scott Kingery for ice cold Bud. They could probably go for Bud Ice. Those tall ounce cans of Bud Ice that you see the homeless people drink in a brown paper bag. That's what you could probably get for them. Is that worth it? I guess in theory that might be worth it. But that's all that you could possibly get with those type of players for sure. I do think that there's this fake narrative, though, that not fake narrative, but to act as if Jefferson, with what went down yesterday, with what went down last year, I should say, Doug Peterson was a mess. The organization was a mess. Your offensive line was banged up. Carson Wentz was brutal. Play design was trash. I don't know if Justin Jefferson would have even been looked at this way. You probably would have thought to yourself afterwards that Justin Jefferson is just an okay wide receiver. I don't know if we would have had that same view on Justin Jefferson. Why all of a sudden is Justin Jefferson going to have the same year he had last year in this offense last year? How is he going to have the same year that he had in Minnesota in Philadelphia when we watched that went down with one of the most miserable seasons we've ever seen? There's no way it would have been to that way, right? There's no way it would have been to that level of production. So I think there's a problem there for sure. Funny thing is, Nick Pivetta said he's better than DeGrom. I did see that. That's just ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, his mindset's always been, I'm a baby. He used to cry and pout on the mound, and he was such a wuss, Nick Pivetta. Such a wuss. I did see that quote, though. Now, I'm curious how I'm getting comments from my own channel. Somehow, some way, someone manipulated my name. I don't know how my own name is asking questions like this with my own actual logo. But there's something to this, and this has happened before. So someone has manipulated my name to make it look exactly the same way. Do I think Carson becomes an MVP candidate? I don't think he stinks up the joint. I don't think he's MVP. He's somewhere in between. Somewhere in between. Worst thing about Pivetta trade, having to give up Seabold. I think the best thing about is stop. Like I thought we'd never be able to talk about Nick Pivetta again. This is the problem. I don't want to ever hear. Oh, I hit the wrong one. I don't want to ever think about Nick Pivetta again. Yet here the problem is all we do is keep talking about him because they keep bringing up at his success. He's pitching 5 innings. 5 innings. 5 innings. That's what he's giving you. You know, he'll throw a 6 in there. He'll throw a 3 2/3. You know? It's crazy. Yes, I did see Harper's post unless he posted a new one. Is there another new one in there? Sooner or later, Wentz will be the reigning MVP again. I think Carson Wentz is just going to be your very good quarterback. He's going to be a very good quarterback in Indianapolis. He's going to be good with the Colts. He's going to be a good quarterback. You're going to watch him make the playoffs. He's going to have success. I don't know if he's going to get full-on MVP mode. There's quarterbacks that do that and never get back to that level. And Cam Newton never even got back to a reasonable level, so I don't want to use him as the example. But a player like Cam Newton, he was unbelievable one year. I think that's what Carson Wentz was. Unbelievable that one year. And then he's just going to be very good in the others. Not the drop-off that Cam Newton had. I'm not saying that side of the conversation. Just the one season of wow, over the top, insane. And then now he's just going to be like a consistent playoff quarterback that has you in the mix. MVP is outrageous, right? And maybe I'm wrong, and I'm rooting for Carson Wentz to a degree to have some success to somewhat shove it up Howie Roseman's ass. There is definitely a little bit of me that just want, Carson Wentz to hypothetically shove his fist up Howie Roseman's ass, say, screw you, go fuck yourself. Sure, I would want to see that happen, no doubt. So, and I'm not ruling it out. The skill set is there. I absolutely think the skill set is there for sure. Good morning, Evan. What's up, dude? What's up? People are ready for Alvarado to go throw at Goldschmidt or Nolan Arenado, and I'm not. Coonrod is one where if it's a game where it's out of hand, that they want Coonrod to go out there and throw at Goldschmidt and Arenado, and I don't feel that way. And I know I'm in the outlier. I get it. I'm in the outlier. I don't feel that way, though. I think it's more important to go win some baseball games. That's how I view it. Go win baseball games. Now I'm seeing some things here with the Phillies. So I'm looking at some of the beat guys and what they're saying. I'm going to try and see if I can see if anything's going on here. With the 1:00 game, obviously, things are a little bit different. The Phillies have their guy on the mound with a chance to somehow finish the current road trip over 500 and grab their first road series win in 7 tries dating back to last season. Big one today. That's from Bob from Crossing Broad. And yes, that is the truth. Cardinals pitcher Cabrera apologized to Bryce Harper in his post-game Zoom conference after hitting Harper in the face with a 97-mile-per-hour fastball. I'm really sorry for everything that happened today, and none of it was intentional. I mean, I think that's obvious, right? If you watched yesterday and you thought that he did that on purpose, you could just tell the raw, natural body experience that he had of frustration in himself would show that he did not mean to do that. It was like an outburst of disappointment in himself. That doesn't make it any better. That doesn't mean that I change my opinion on it. I mean, to a degree, I do, because I guess it does matter if you try and drill someone in the face to that level. You got to be out of the game at that point, right? You have to be out of the game if you're going to start chucking 97-mile-per-hour fastballs up into the chin, into the nose, into the cheek. That's a problem, but there's no way that he meant to do that. There's too much respect for Bryce Harper. This guy, Cabrera, there's too much respect for a player like Bryce Harper in this game for someone to intentionally throw a ball that far up in the zone at someone's cheek. It's just crazy. Best retaliation last night is to beat them in a series. I agree. That's the way I think. That's the way I think about it. You have the old school going, look, I love Ricky Bell and I love Kruk, but I don't think that there was any other reaction that we were going to hear other than these guys deserve to get beamed, because that's the way that they think. It's a new era of baseball. You can bat flip. You can dance around the bases. You can take selfies. You can, celebrate as a pitcher. It's a new style of baseball. And you see Castellanos get a suspension the other day because of just staring at one person at home plate, where if you start chucking and you start losing your players, you got to win games, man. I don't want to lose my guys for throwing haymakers. I don't want to lose my players for suspensions. I want them on the field because they struggle to win with them on the field. They need them out there. They need them out there as best as possible. Go. Go. Go win. Go win. I'm conflicted. Should Cabrera be ejected? Absolutely. Oh, yeah. No, there's nothing to be conflicted about. After the second hit batter, there's no doubt 100% he should have been ejected. That's for damn sure. That's a whole nother conversation. I'm talking about throwing haymakers. UGA fan, I'm discrediting the win because of the Hawks injury. Yeah, I'm not discrediting the win, but I'm not as excited. That's for damn sure. To be excited is just ridiculous. There's no reason to. They did what they were supposed to do. And I'm not going to jump up and down and start clapping and just start, like, I don't know, fist pumping the world or fist bumping the world. Not fist pumping. This isn't Jersey Shore, although phenomenal show. And I kind of got stuck after season 5. I did not continue because they started to get older and they stopped blacking out as much and there wasn't as much drama. But anyway, I digress. They were in Italy, didn't go as planned. Anyway, yeah, I'm not ready to like jump up and down for joy because they beat a Hawks team that is clearly injured. Is there any pick that would have steam coming out of my ears? Off the top of my head, not really until I see. It would have to be somebody that I don't know. Right? I mean, it would be someone where it's, what the hell? Not that I don't know. I guess that because I definitely know a lot of these pieces, but I guess it would be more, it would have to be something like Jalen Hurts. So out there, so out of the blue, someone that's irrelevant to a pick at 12 overall. That's where it would be like this terrible reaction where steam will be coming out of my ears. If it's another Jalen Hurts type of selection, that's what it would take. A win is a win at this point. I agree. And here's the thing, though. I guess when you look at the schedule and the way that it played out for the Sixers after that brutal stretch of losing 4 straight games, you have the Brooklyn Nets playing Milwaukee a couple times. You have, a tough little out for the Nets where it's set up for the Sixers' success, actually. So when you look at what the Nets have next, they play the Pacers, the Trailblazers, the Bucks twice, the Mavericks, the Denver Nuggets, the Spurs, and then the Bulls a couple times. They have the Cleveland Cavaliers in there, but they have some tough opponents compared to the Sixers schedule where I somewhat not knew what they were going to do, but they play the Bulls, they play the Rockets, they play the Pistons, they play the Magic twice. They have a little bit easier of a schedule than the Brooklyn Nets do. So you kind of thought that it would be a spot where the Sixers will be able to kind of make their run to win. My thoughts on Ben Simmons missing those 4 games against top individual players when he's going for Defensive Player of the Year. Are you saying that he did this strategically? Which way are you going here? Are you saying that he did this strategically so he can keep Defensive Player of the Year? Or are you saying, look how important he is, it changes everything? If he wins Defensive Player of the Year, he is eligible for the Super Max. So do you think that this was strategically done so he can get the Super Max? You think he has enough solidified where he took a step backwards to grab Defensive Player of the Year? Because I look at it almost as he would have to put something out on display. He needs more on tape. He needs to go up against Giannis. He needs to go up against these guys so he can put more on tape. Because if we just go to my DraftKings Sportsbook app, and you can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code Brodes when you sign up for phenomenal odds and promotions boosts, eligibility and restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. If you go to the NBA and if you go to awards, okay, so that's what you're thinking. BJ thinks here that this is all strategic. Here's why I think it might not be. If you go to Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert is minus 560 to win. Ben Simmons is plus 250. And then the next is plus 2,000 to Miles Turner. So it's basically a 2-man race. Wouldn't you think that he needs those games to go win it? He needs to make a statement against Giannis. He needs to go out there and play against Devin Booker. He needs those games to solidify that Defensive Player of the Year because it's so heavily favored in Rudy Gobert right now at minus 560. Like, I almost think that he would need those games. So missing out on those games would only hurt him more than it would help him. But it's an interesting theory for sure. Like, would a team go, Ben, you've done so much for us. We'll be okay with sitting you so you can go grab that supermax because you do enough for us anyway. It's a very interesting perspective on it for sure. My personal opinion, and I know this is something that you don't really want to speculate around. I've never seen a flu knock somebody out that long. So what I think personally, and I'm not going to dive too deep into it, I think he was probably dealing with some of the stuff with the personal reasons. I think there was probably some personal reasons that he had to step back, and the franchise doesn't want to put anything on notice. So to have their players back, they acknowledged or said that he had a sickness, even though deep down they knew that some family stuff was going on. That's what I think happened. That's just my personal opinion, though. I think that he was probably dealing with some of the stuff that was going on with family. That's my guess. If Ben Simmons gets a supermax before a jump shot, I'm going to be pissed. Well, guess what? That's probably going to be in play, my friend. That's probably going to be in play. Sorry, my buddy's texting me about the stream. Simmons should have been traded years ago. I mean, that's unfair. I've given him a lot of chances, and he hasn't won me over fully yet. I have such a love hate. Wow, the NBA odds, or those are, I agree that there's value there. I do agree that there's value there. I just think, and maybe it's one of those where Rudy Gobert, how many times does Rudy Gobert have won Defensive Player of the Year? How many times has he won it? I'm interested. 2016 and 17, he was the NBA blocks leader. 2018 and 2019, he won back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year awards. It could be, here's my thought process. Could it be one of those things, and I don't know how many people follow hockey to this crazy level, but when it comes to the Selke, which is the best forward, defensive forward, Patrice Bergeron wins it every year, every single year. And at some point, it gets so boring. And Sean Couturier was in the mix so many times. He was up for the award, but Patrice Bergeron won it so many times that, all right, we're going to give it to Sean Couturier because he's constantly in the mix. Bergeron always wins. It's time to give it to somebody else. I think with this, it's possible that Rudy Gobert wins it all the time. Ben Simmons brings a different versatility. Ben Simmons is doing it a different way. He's not just a block leader. It always gets sucked into the big man that wants to throw a lot of blocks out there because that's what, quote, makes you look like a great defender with these blocks. Is it possible that it's now going to go to somebody else because it's different? I think that's in play for sure. It's not bad odds. It's an interesting odds too. Maybe, are they trying to suck you in? Are they trying to suck you in with Rudy? Everyone's going with Rudy Gobert being a fraud. That's amazing. Well, Joel makes everybody look like a scrub, to be fair. Am I saying it's a pity win? I'm not saying it's necessarily a pity win. No, because it's reasonable. It's not outrageous. He does deserve that recognition. No, I think you could absolutely easily make the argument that Ben Simmons deserves to win it over a Rudy Gobert. For sure. For sure. We got Dieter in here. Brodes, heading to the draft tonight. First time. Who am I going nuts for if we get them? And what name am I starting Fire Howie chance at? First off, that's awesome. Congrats on making a run down there, or there in general. That should be fun as hell. Who am I going nuts for? See, this is the problem. I have no read. I have no read on where they're going. There's so many different options. There's 9,000 mock drafts. Here's what I'll say I would be okay with. I would be okay with these names right here. All right? Surtain, Horn. That's where we're looking at the cornerback position. Those two would satisfy me. Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, wide receivers. Those names satisfied me. Parsons, linebacker. Don't think it's going to happen. Would satisfy me. Justin Fields. If a quarterback falls and you go out and grab a QB like that, Justin, there's a few. I'm not talking Mac Jones and Trey Lance. I'm talking about other ones. I'm talking specifically just bringing up Justin Fields because of the drama about him slipping. That would satisfy me. I would need more time to think on how I would feel with a Slater. I would need more time to think about how I would feel with maybe a pay. I would have to think about that. But that's where I'm at. No, I don't want anyone. There's a lot of options at 12. I'd mention everyone. People are asking, who would you be okay with? Those are the names. Mentioning 5 guys. 5 guys I would be okay with. Why would I take Justin Fields? Because I think he's better than Jalen Hurts. And he's slipping. And if he slips, you're telling me you get a chance to, I don't think Jalen Hurts is a franchise guy. I think he's a stopgap guy. I think he's a guy that holds you over for a little bit of time. I think that the ceiling of Justin Fields is bad. I think Justin Fields can be a franchise guy. So why would I take Justin Fields? If he falls to you at 12 or if he's in your range and he thinks you're a guy, he's the quarterback. It's a quarterback. You got to get a quarterback. The problem is, Philly, is you can't fall for all of these things out there, right? There's a billion different different reports out there that's not true. And there's a lot of things that are a little crazy. I did say this to start my show, though. I have heard that there is some phone calls for moving up. And I do think that that's true. The problem is there's so much garbage out there that it's hard to really pick and choose what's real and what's not real. But the trading up thing is real. And this is from Jeremy Fowler right now. The Eagles have been active this week with phone calls on potentially moving up. Multiple teams in that range think Philly might be trying to get ahead of Dallas for one of the top corners in Surtain. And that's something that I heard. I heard that maybe try and jump Dallas is in play, and maybe to try and get Justin Fields is in play. I heard both of those are options. And more smoke than in Snoop Dogg's house or my basement. What? Don't tell your sister. Just kidding. The doubt in Hurts is sad. Why is it sad? It's real. It's nothing other than arm strength. It's nothing other than tape. It's nothing other than looking at the NFL product and seeing at his flaws and looking at what he's not good at and looking at some of the stuff around his game. Look at what he did last year. He went 3-1 in 1-3 in 4 games. He's a winner. How many times has a winner in college totally blown up in your face? You know what I mean? We've seen that a million times. A million times. You could be a winner in college all you want. That doesn't necessarily translate to, all this with the NFL product. To say it's sad to have Hurts down. Why is it sad? He was projected to be a 4th-round pick. And that doesn't mean you will be bad. Russell Wilson, late-round pick. Tom Brady, late-round pick. That's fine. But to say it's irrational to have questions about him, that's where I think it's flawed. It's very valid to have questions about Jalen Hurts. It's not sad. It might be wrong. But it's not sad to have maybe questions about a quarterback who is lacking with arm strength, who is lacking with the ability with accuracy. All that can be true. So I think it's a little overblown, a little crazy. I'm keeping my eye out on some of this draft stuff. That Coonrod tweet last night got blown up. A lot of my tweets last night got a little crazy love. I got Buster Olney retweeted my my video of Bryce Harper getting hit in the face. I saw Buster Olney pop up. I'm like, geez, maybe he'll come on the Coffee with Brodes to talk about it. The Joe Girardi video was great, though. It was just perfect execution out of him with the way that he was screaming, throwing the hands, getting in people's face. It's pretty damn unreal. Who would I rather have, Smith or Pitts? Well, Pitts, but you're not going to have that. Pitts isn't even in play. So Smith for sure. Your video was viral. Yeah, I did see a lot of people utilize it. Ben Verlander used it. I saw the starting 9 from Barstool used it. It kind of went around town a bit for sure. Of course, I messed up the end. The one clip that goes to that extreme, I messed up the ending of it, and I didn't clip it cleanly. But I guess it doesn't really matter. All right. We only got a few minutes here left in Coffee with Brodes. Why the Cavs hat this morning? Look, I'm a LeBron Jamesman and always was when it comes to basketball and appreciating his play. I've always supported Not always, actually. There was a time where I hated LeBron, but I'm talking pure basketball standpoint. I'm a huge LeBron's man, right? It's an attack the day kind of thing. When I wear a bandana, it's a I'm gonna fuck this day up. Fuck you attitude. When I put on the LeBron hat, it's the GOAT mentality. You're just attacking the day differently. It's not really a Cavs hat, although he did play on the Cavs. It's a LeBron hat. It's an attacking of the day. It's I'm gonna say fuck you. It's he's the GOAT to me. You know, there's two athletes I love more than anyone in this world. One is LeBron James, because we're never going to see anything this amazing again from pure dominance, NBA finals, that and that. It's just amazing. It's amazing what LeBron James has done. And Serena Williams. Those are my two favorite athletes in this world from a competitor mentality athlete. No loyalty. Come on, stop it with that garbage. LeBron has no loyalty, so you don't like LeBron. Come on. You're not going to appreciate one of the greatest athletes we're ever going to see in the history of our lifetime because he moved to Miami to go play. This is how basketball works. This is how it is. This is what it is. This is how it's always been. You team up to act as if LeBron is the one that started this mess. It's just irrational statement. The Lakers had super teams. The Celtics had super teams. This is the nature of the NBA. You have a super team. Every era has a super team. That's how it's always been. I agree. Appreciate LeBron while he's still here, for sure. My two favorite is Kobe and Carlos Gomez. All right. That's funny. I don't understand the Francisco Lindor slander. The fact that he's getting booed, the fact that stop with this. Like he's getting paid way too much money. It's 20 games into 162 games times 10. Francisco Lindor is going to be fine. Francisco Lindor is a hell of a baseball player. I don't understand this narrative that 20 games of his sample size, if he ended up starting off 360 and then he hit 203 for 20 games in the middle of the season, it's the same thing, but it doesn't get looked at the same way. Francisco Lindor will be fine. Most people haven't watched MJ. What do you mean by that? To say that LeBron is the best, what do you mean by that? I've watched Michael Jordan play. I've seen Michael Jordan play. I think that the problem is Michael Jordan was the first to elevate himself to that level where it's like, I don't want to ever admit that somebody else is physically better, who's more gifted and things like that. It's because it's the first and you're emotionally tied to that era. You're emotionally tied to that person because of how he blew up the NBA. He was the first global star in the NBA to that level that you would never be able to admit that there is someone who came along that has elevated and jumped over that. I understand the psychology of it. I do. That's your era. That's your guy. That's who you watched. You're not going to allow anybody else to take over that top spot. That's how we work as human beings. You're protective of it. At the same time, though, you can look at it objectively and say, damn, this guy, and it's based off of training. It's based off of food. It's based off of everything, physical training. What we have here in 2021, these athletes are better. These athletes are more accustomed. You're not smoking cigars and this and that in the locker room and drinking beers, Babe Ruth. Everything has grown. Everything has adapted. So that means these athletes are getting up there as well. And that's one of the reasons why LeBron has, in my opinion, stepped over. Oh, yeah. Oh, no doubt Mike Trout is underrated for sure. It's playing with the Angels. It's being on at 10 o'clock. It's not getting all this love. If he played on the Yankees, come on. The way that they talk about Aaron Judge, the way that they talk about Stanton, of course he's underrated. He's so damn underrated. And it's crazy because there's players on the Dodgers that get, like the Padres, Fernando Tatis. All right, Mike Trout, in terms of skill, Tatis is amazing. We all know that. But Mike Trout's Mike Trout. Someone in San Diego still finds a way to get more publicity and still get some love. And it comes with the nature of how they play the game. Mike Trout's not bat flipping to that level and doing eye reactions, rounding first base and being that type of individual with that personality out on the field. That's one of the reasons we look at Slam Diego the way that you look at Slam Diego. So I guess maybe some of it is the market size. Some of it is the way that they put him in the spotlight or lack thereof, but it's also personality, right? The guy is just, he's Sidney Crosby. He's a hockey player. There's a reason why hockey players are what they are. Oh, I thought we had a good game today. We just got to get back to the basics and work hard, get in the corners. And, we really got to thank Coatsy over there for making a good play. And yeah, next question. They're just standard people that are very simple, very boring, give you that standard answer, and then boom, they move on. Mike Trout doesn't have the personality. He's just on the Angels and doesn't talk. I agree, doesn't talk. He doesn't flash the personality at all. So that's kind of where that is. Trout isn't outspoken like LeBron or has accomplishments like Brady. Well, to be fair, LeBron James isn't LeBron James because of outspokenness. LeBron James is LeBron James because he brings franchises to the NBA Finals, because he wins championships, because of his dominant play. That's why we talk about LeBron James the way that we talk about LeBron James, more so than anything else. Mike Trout is not underrated. Everyone knows. That's the thing. You are right where everyone does know. You're right. If you ask people who's the best player in baseball, Mike Trout is the answer. So I guess that is fair. It's like we all recognize that Mike Trout's the best player, but he's not the face. He doesn't pop, but he does the best player in baseball thing. So you're right. If you ask people who's the best player, the answer is Mike Trout. The answer is Mike Trout. So is he underrated? That's very fascinating. I do know this, though. It's 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock, which means it is time for Coffee with Brodes to end, unfortunately. I want to thank everybody for hanging out. We got a big day today. Huge day. We got Phillies response at 1 o'clock, and we got the NFL fucking draft. So it's going to be amazing. I want to thank everyone for hanging out. We'll have those the post-game Phillies, the Eagles draft as well. We'll have post-game podcast for that. I guess the draft isn't a post-game podcast, but you get my point. And yeah, then we'll have Coffee with Brodes tomorrow morning to kind of recap things. Thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out. Thanks for the donations. Thanks for the chats. And talk to you guys later.